think a lot of people get it wrong when they think it's, about a great love, forever love. I personally see this book as a story of great revenge. Really opened my eyes when I first read it. It's a clear, fascinating look at society's communism and just people in general. It's a very interesting conspiracy and I totally buy into that. They were like it couple of the time. They were like Kardashians. The couple was Kardashian, like Kanye, Kim. What am I talking about? The relationship was a huge shit show to begin with. This dude here is probably in hell right now. Classic or late version, 5 books for people like me. Okay, so last month I did this video and this video and this video. All of them did really well and they all kind of fell under the umbrella of classic literature or how to bounce back after a reading slump, things like that, to inspire people to get back to reading. I gained a lot of new viewers and subscribers for those videos, and it was super exciting for me at the time because I am someone who is trying to pivot a little out of the beauty YouTuber space and focus a lot more around things that are pertaining to goal setting, self-care, reading more, all those things. I mean, obviously I still love beauty and that's not necessarily the entire point of the series, but I'm going to share with you my favorite classics. Now a lot of people ask me where to get started with classic. I don't really know, but here are the ones that I have personally enjoyed the most. I have quite a lot to get through, so grab yourself a coffee, tea, whatever you want to do, and we'll start with the first book recommendation. I'm sorry sometimes if I'm looking at the screen, I'm basically looking at the viewfinder and not the camera. I'm still getting hang of it, but please bear with me. I am not really good YouTuber, but I am sure I'm gonna give you content that's going to be helpful, if not entertaining. Okay, so let's start. First book I want to show you is Wuthering by Emily Brontë. It wasn't an easy read though. It's not easy language, not very accessible, especially if you're not English native speaker. This is a classic at gothic romance. In this we learn of dual romance between an orphan boy named Heathcliff and Catherine Earnshaw, the daughter of Heathcliff's adoptive father. The book, like I mentioned, was a little bit of struggle to get through, but it was just so worth it. Now I really like dark books about awful people, so this was right up my alley. It's super melodramatic, but I loved that. Also, I do have problem with people who call this book a romantic book. I think a lot of people get it wrong when they think it's about a great love, forever love, even after death kind of love, because it does have theme of ghost and stuff like that. But I personally see this book as a story of great revenge rather than love story. It's pretty complicated story, really. It's very intriguing. There have been movie adaptation on this as well, few of them, I guess 3 or 4, but I would mostly consider this book as a gothic tale than anything else. So even if the movies make them seem like the stories about romance, I think if you are a gothic lover, you will like this. See, even on the first chapter, first paragraph, I have a word that I don't know the meaning of. I'm writing all those things down, so very hard to read and very rich language as well. Second book I want to talk about here, I have this one, is kind of like a modern classic. It is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, our own, my favorite author, one of the favorite female author. This book is set over the course of one hot summer day, one day in June 1923, and we follow this Clarissa Dalloway as she prepares for a dinner party. This is a book that has really grown on me over the time. I mean, after reading it once, you kind of think about it for following few more days. Actually, initially I was a little bit I was underwhelmed by it, but now I am completely convinced it's written in a stream of consciousness, which I realize it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I don't think anyone does any better job than Woolf herself. The whole thing is like continuous stream of momentum. It's like when you're writing your diary, it's like that. It's very fluid and it's very beautiful and it's one-dimensional. Actually, if you're going to read this, I would recommend trying to plan a little bit ahead and try to read it as close in as you go, like read in one go if possible, because I think it's better that way. If you're reading 20 pages one day and then 20 next week, you'll lose the train of thought. It's not that long either. Look at the size. You can do it in one go if you wanted to over the weekend. Plus it's modern classic, so language isn't as hard as, you know, let's say Shakespeare. Language is quite accessible with Virginia Woolf, especially with this book. It's very tiny book. Look at this. So I feel like if you want to start reading Virginia Woolf and you just need like an introduction book of Virginia Woolf, this is a very good introductory book for that. If you're just starting out, if you're just you know, reading Virginia Woolf. Am I making sense? But if this is if it's your first time reading Virginia Woolf, if you're planning on, you know, reading more work from her, this is the first book you read. This is a really good introductory book to her writing style. Next, we have a book that I seem to have misplaced my copy, but it's Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë. This is a story of Jane and her life. We get to know her as a child and we follow her all the way Thornfield, where she starts working as a governess. That's where she meets this mysterious man, Mr. Rochester. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong because I read it quite a few days back. This is actually one of the books that got me really interested into reading more classics. I remember I was surprised at how easy it was to read. I really enjoyed Jane's voice in this book. I found a great connection to her. Endless and generally a lot of characters are absolutely fascinating, and it's really beautiful book. Fourth book of this video is this beautiful little copy of Animal Farm by George Orwell. Look how tiny and cute this is. This is basically an essay, if you want to call it that. You can call it that technically, but let me tell you about what it is about. Actually, this is a dystopia novel about farm animals who take over farm and sort of create a society of their own, like rebel against humans, and things get really out of hand. This book really opened my eyes when I first read it. It's a clear, fascinating look at society's communism and just people in general. Even though all the main characters in this book are indeed animals, but it's short and it's good classic, so you will also get antidotes on how politics fools the general public. You know, you get the idea, right? But it's still very relevant, and even if you don't get any new insight politically, it's a really good book to read, really good book to start from George Orwell, one of my favorite author. He has an entire section on my bookshelf, George Orwell, everything George Orwell, and he hasn't done much work, but I even have his essays. He's just too smart, and his political commentary is just, it's just so amazing. If you're interested in something like that, you will enjoy some of his work, but not even just his, you know, published work. He has some of the letters and essays. He actually used to work as a editor at the publication house, and he used to review other people's work as well. So he has really good commentary and criticism on novels written before him. So really, I mean, I want to stop talking about George Orwell. Let's start with the next book. You must have heard of this book. I know you have, because I'm going to talk about The Great Gatsby by F. Scott here. Well, I strongly believe it's his wife's name should be up here instead of this man's name. Look at the copy. That only I have kind of scratched off his name. You know why? I'll tell you why. I actually wrote this when I was in my teens, so I was very angsty and I was very expressive, but I'm still bitter about it because it's a very interesting conspiracy and I totally buy into that conspiracy. In short, it goes like he pulled out big chunks of data or writings from his wife's diary and used the, you know, para to para, word to word, zero editing, without giving her credit in this book. So yeah, I mean, plus a lot of scholars believe it to be true because particularly for this book, this isn't his style of writing, and he put his wife into asylum when people got suspicious. Scholars and media's got suspicious. They were like it couple at the time. They were like Kardashians. The couple was Kardashian, like Kanye, Kim. What am I talking about? Anyway, when the word spread and a lot of people and the media started believing it to be true and wanted his wife to come forward and confirm, which she would have because she hated him at that point, he burned down the asylum she was in and his wife died. And yeah, the relationship was a huge shit show to begin with. I mean, they were both terrible people to each other at least, but still I think this dude here is probably in hell right now. Anyhow, this is my favorite book. This is set in the 1920s and it's about infamous Gatsby. Oh my god. This is set in 1920s. It's about this infamous Gatsby and the love of his life. This book is about all that. If you watch the movie, you know, but book is also really good and you can still read and enjoy the book even if you watch the movie. Writing style is just, if you want to actually start reading classic, you can read the books that you already watch movies on, so you kind of have the plot idea as well, so it will be easier. This is set in one of my absolute favorite eras. I mean, 1920s, everything beautiful. I just love the story, and my favorite part about this book is probably just discussing it with other people, because people have this really differing opinion on it. I just love hearing about people talk about this book. They think so differently than I do, and everyone has different thing to talk about. They focus on different chapter. I just love hearing about them and talking about it. So yeah, I'm gonna read the first sentence of this book for you guys. Oh my god, you're gonna love it. Look, I've written Swati. I love this book so much that I've written my own name on it because I didn't want to lose it. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I have been turning over in my mind ever since. So this first sentence kind of gets you into, you know, it gives you this basic idea that okay, this person is not young, he's an adult man now, because he's talking about his younger days where he has father. He also mentions vulnerable years, so that means when he was young, he probably wasn't very well off. Turning that advice in my head over and over, that means he's currently going through something that he needs to figure it out. Really clever sentence, and I like the first sentence of the book. All right, that's it. I have more videos like this. Check them out. I'll link them down below for you guys. You can just visit a playlist on my channel if you wanted. It's called book something. Subscribe and like this video. Like, actually press on the thumb, like icon. That will be really good, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.